For years, nonstick skillets have been among the world's most popular pans. They can be inexpensive, they're easy to use, and they're super easy to clean.
But there are health concerns about the traditional Teflon nonstick coating on these pans, including potential issues when heating them past a certain point.
We've tested ceramic nonstick alternatives a number of times over the years, and most were just not impressive. But recently, we retested ceramic pans to see how newer models compare.
Are traditional nonstick pans actually unsafe? Are ceramic models just as good at being nonstick? We're going to take a look at both options so you can decide which to buy.
First up, Lisa with our review of traditional nonstick skillets.
To make a pan nonstick, manufacturers usually take a plain aluminum pan and apply coatings of a very slick substance to the inside of the pan. That substance is called PTFE, or polytetrafluoroethylene. It's better known as Teflon, and it was discovered in the 1930s. Manufacturers spray the coating onto the pan and they bake it to dry. And they can do anywhere from 1 to 5 layers, depending on the quality they want. Now, these coatings are hydrophobic and oleophobic, meaning they repel water and oil. At this point, it's the most effective nonstick coating. Nonstick pans work really well for eggs, stir fries, fish, or delicate cooking. Now, this is our ATK recommended winning pan from OXO. And while it's been our favorite for a while, we also really like models from All-Clad and Tefal. In fact, both of these are induction compatible, while the OXO was not. Both of these pans are also highly recommended. Now, over the years, we've tested more than 20 brands of traditional nonstick skillets. When you're shopping for a nonstick skillet, there's a few key things to look for. First, you definitely want a super slick nonstick coating, and they are not all alike. It's like if you hired your brother-in-law to paint your house, or you got a professional company. They will put one coat on or multiple coats, and you can't tell by looking at it. That's why we tested the coatings of both traditional and ceramic nonstick pans really thoroughly. First, we fried eggs without any fat, one after another, up to 50 eggs, or until they stuck. We repeated that test at the end of all of our other cooking tests, so that we could see if the nonstick coatings degraded with use. The good news, all of the traditional skillets aced those egg tests. They arrived slick and they stayed that way. The next thing you really want to look for are some basic things about skillets. You want gently sloped walls. The best pans had walls that were just tall enough to contain food and sloped at an angle that made it easy to toss food around without spilling it over the sides. Some of the models we tested had too short walls, and that made for messier cooking. You want a pan that's lightweight. These are not hefty cast iron skillets. We expect them to be light enough to pick up with one hand and to maneuver easily around the kitchen. Our favorite 12-inch models weighed about 2.5 pounds. You want a generous cooking surface. Now, in the United States, skillets are sold as 12-inch, 10-inch, or 8-inch, but those measurements refer to the diameter at the top of the skillets, from rim to rim. When the walls slope down to meet the bottom of the pan, the size of the actual cooking surface can vary a lot. Now, we found that a cooking surface diameter of 9 to 10 inches gave us the right amount of room. And that's great if you're preparing food for up to 6 people, but sometimes even for 2. You need room for food to spread out and brown, not pile up in steam. We prefer stainless steel handles. These are always better on skillets than silicone-coated handles. They're more durable, they're more heat safe, and they're easier to clean. In our testing, our favorite traditional nonstick pans aced all of our tests, and they met all these pan design criteria. They work perfectly, but are they safe to use? PTFE is one of a class of chemicals called PFAS, which is sometimes called forever chemicals because they don't biodegrade easily in the environment. They also are linked to some serious health concerns. The experts we talked to said that it isn't clear that the chemicals in the coatings migrate to your food when you cook. They said it's more likely that most of what they call the smaller migratable chemicals were vaporized when the coating was applied at the factory. The bigger worry is overheating the pan, because that causes the coating to emit fumes, and these are not good for you. In fact, Teflon even has a page called Teflon and Bird Safety, because the fumes can kill pet birds. Now, back in the old days, coal miners would take caged birds into the mine, and if the bird died, it was a warning to get the heck out of there, because bad gases or other airborne dangers were happening. There's even an expression that something's a canary in a coal mine, which is a sign of a bigger danger. If it's not good for birds, it's not good for you. So, don't broil or use nonstick skillets at temperatures above 500 degrees. If you do use it in the oven, set the oven to no higher than 450 because the oven will cycle up and down. Don't heat an empty nonstick skillet. We always recommend heating any nonstick skillet with oil or butter in it because those fats will smoke at lower temperatures, like around 350 or 400 degrees, depending on the type of fat. And that's well before that pan can get dangerously hot. In our egg test, where we don't use any fat, we drop the egg in when the pan hits 350 exactly. So when you're cooking with nonstick, turn on that hood fan, crack a window, and if you keep the pan at safe temperatures, you should be fine. The other key thing to know about nonstick is that it will always gradually lose its nonstickness. So we have some tips for how to make it last. First, and very counterintuitively, never use nonstick sprays in a nonstick pan. As you heat the pan up, the lecithin in the nonstick spray sticks to the pan and it builds up. And the pan will actually become more and more sticky over time. Don't use metal utensils. Now, metal spatulas and spoons can scratch up the nonstick coating. Years ago, a big concern was that once you scratch the nonstick, it flakes up like paint chips and gets in your food. And they really don't do that anymore. They have improved the way they adhere to the pan. But, you don't want to scratch it anyway because that spot will stick. As far as cleaning goes, you always want to wash it in the sink with soap and water. Don't put it in the dishwasher. It will wear off more quickly. And the same note, don't use abrasive sponges or abrasive cleaners like Ajax or Barkeeper's Friend. Anything that's scrubbing at that surface is just going to make it go away faster. When you're storing pans, put paper plates or a sheet of paper towels between the pans when you stack them. Another metal pan sitting in this one will scratch it up. You can improve non-stickness and keep a pan in better shape for longer by wiping a thin coat of vegetable oil onto a warm pan, then buffing most of it off again. And that helps if the surface is looking a little worn out. I should note that OXO has just told us that they're discontinuing this pan in favor of a new ceramic model that hasn't come out yet. They're getting away from traditional non-stick coatings. In the meantime, I've been moving a little bit away from using my nonstick pan. I do love this OXO pan and I have it, but I've been increasingly using my carbon steel skillet, which is a natural, renewable nonstick pan. Now, we're keeping an eye on the discussion around chemicals in the coatings, and we will publish any new information that comes out. We see a trend across the industry to start switching over to ceramic nonstick skillets that don't use these chemicals. So here's Kate with our review of those ceramic alternatives. And hey, drop a like down below if you're so inclined. It really helps out the channel. Thanks.
If you'd like to minimize your exposure to PTFE, ceramic nonstick cookware can be great. As with PTFE-based coatings, these are manufactured by spraying them with a liquid material that, when heated, hardens to a slick surface. But unlike PTFE-based coatings, the liquid is made from a glass-like ceramic material that's derived from beach sand. And there's no risk of it releasing toxic fumes, even at high temperatures. There are some trade-offs, though. In general, we've found that ceramic nonstick isn't quite as nonstick or as durable as traditional nonstick, and it gets less slick and durable over time. Compared to PTFE nonstick, ceramic surfaces are more brittle. They're also more likely to develop microscopic surface cracks during everyday use. The rougher a cooking surface becomes, the more likely food is to stick to it, and scrubbing off that stuck-on food can cause further degradation. But as these pans become more common, they're improving in quality. We recently tested 14 of these ceramic skillets using the same criteria as our testing for traditional nonstick skillets. Some were really bad, but the good ones were great. Maybe not quite as good as our Teflon winners, but only by a little. This is our winner from Green Pan. It aced most of our tests, including the standard 50-egg test, releasing each egg beautifully. Other ceramic skillets started sticking around 7 eggs, which is abysmal. Only 3 ceramic skillets passed that test. The whole point of these pans is their non-stickability, so failing the egg test is a non-starter. Honestly, it's not a really good look for ceramic skillets either that so many of them failed, and we had to put all of those skillets that failed into the not recommended rating category. When looking for a ceramic nonstick skillet, consider all of the criteria Lisa talked about earlier. The walls of the pan, the handle, and the cooking surface are all important factors as well. The Green Pan really stood out from other models we tested. It arrived slick, and it remained so throughout cooking in all of our abuse tests. It also has a broad cooking surface, gently sloped walls, and a really comfortable handle. But before you buy this or any other ceramic pan, you need to know something important about them. Ceramic nonstick typically runs hotter than traditional nonstick. We observed this when we were cooking and tested our favorite ceramic skillet next to our favorite traditional nonstick skillet, and we figured out why. PTFE is a type of plastic that acts as a thermal insulator, slowing the transmission of heat from the aluminum pan to the food cooking in it. In comparison, ceramic coatings conduct heat to the food more quickly. You may need to lower the flame or take the pan off the heat sooner than called for in a recipe. It's really important to follow visual cues and your instinct. Food may stick slightly, and the pan may take a little bit more gentle effort to clean. But for a fairly confident and experienced cook who wants to avoid PTFE, these aren't difficult adjustments to make. Like the Teflon nonstick, don't use metal utensils, don't use abrasive cleaners, don't put it in the dishwasher, don't put them under the broiler, and don't use nonstick sprays. With ceramic though, these tips are more about durability and less about safety. And if you're open to trying something new that doesn't have any of those off-gassing concerns, try ceramic. It's a little less durable, but only a little, and it offers a lot more peace of mind when cooking at high temperatures, like in the oven. So, if you're looking purely for performance, go with Teflon. But if it's peace of mind you're after, try ceramic. I think you're going to see more and more ceramic options on the market. The more companies that are making these, I think the better the quality will become. We're keeping an eye out for them, and I think you should too.
For more information about traditional and ceramic nonstick skillets, check out the links below or go to americastestkitchen.com.
Which pan is right for you? Traditional nonstick or ceramic? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.